He couldn't afford his daughter's birthday cake, but Ozzy Osbourne was standing behind him. It was a quiet afternoon at a small bakery in Los Angeles. The scent of fresh bread and pastries filled the air, but one man standing in line wasn't noticing any of it. His eyes kept darting to the colorful birthday cakes in the display case. Today was his daughter's birthday, and he wanted to make it special, at least as much as his modest budget would allow. He checked his wallet again, empty. His heart sank. He could barely afford groceries this week, let alone a cake decorated with her favorite cartoon character. His little daughter tugged gently at his sleeve, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Daddy, can we get the pink one with sprinkles?" she asked, pointing to a cake decorated like a princess. The father forced a smile. "Ah, we'll see, sweetheart," he said, his voice tighter than usual. The cashier rang up a few small items, and when he tried to add the cake to the total, his hands hesitated over his wallet. He realized he didn't have enough. His cheeks flushed, embarrassment creeping up. He whispered an apology to the cashier, explaining he couldn't afford the cake after all. A hush seemed to settle over the line behind him. People glanced over, sensing the tension. The daughter's eyes dropped to the floor. She didn't say anything, but the disappointment was written clearly across her face. It was at that exact moment that someone stepped into the bakery, tall and instantly recognizable to anyone who looked closely. A man with a wild shock of hair, wearing dark sunglasses and a leather jacket, casually approached the counter. He paused, noticing the father's struggle, the daughter's downcast eyes, and the general unease in the store. No one expected what would happen next. Some of the other customers whispered among themselves, trying to place who it was, but the father, he didn't notice. He was too busy trying to figure out how to tell his daughter they wouldn't have the cake she dreamed of for her birthday. The tension was thick. The bakery, filled with sweet aromas, had suddenly become a stage for something extraordinary. Audience hook, what happened next, left everyone in the store speechless. Part 2, tension builds approximately equals 600 words. The bakery was bustling with the usual Saturday crowd. Kids tugged at their parents, grabbing colorful cupcakes, while the smell of fresh bread and chocolate drifted in the air. Amid all this, one man stood frozen in front of the display case, his hand resting on his daughter's small shoulder. She pointed at a beautifully decorated cake, pink frosting, sparkling candles, and her favorite cartoon characters. "Daddy, this one," she said, eyes wide with excitement. The father, a hard-working man, clearly worn by life's daily struggles, reached into his wallet. His heart sank as he realized there wasn't enough cash to cover the cake. He looked around nervously, avoiding eye contact with his daughter. He hated this moment, the moment where he had to disappoint her. The daughter's smile faltered. "But, it's my birthday today." He knelt down, forcing a reassuring smile. "I know, sweetheart. I'll figure something out." A cashier waited politely, but the father's hesitation grew heavier by the second. He tried to explain the situation quietly. I don't have enough money. I'm sorry." A few bystanders had begun noticing the scene. Whispers started circulating. "Poor guy. Look at him trying to figure it out. Heartbreaking." "Ah, she's going to be so disappointed." The tension thickened. The little girl's excitement faded, replaced by confusion. She looked up at her father with hopeful eyes. "Can't we just borrow it?" He shook his head gently, fighting back a sigh. "No, darling, I can't." One of the onlookers pulled out a phone, filming discreetly. Another whispered to a friend, "I can't believe this is happening. He's doing his best, but it's not enough." Meanwhile, the father scanned the bakery, searching for any possible solution, maybe a cheaper option, maybe some kind of compromise. But every cake seemed perfect to his daughter. Every cake was just out of reach. The tension wasn't just emotional, it was almost palpable. Other shoppers paused, unsure whether to intervene or stay back. The daughter's small hand clutched her father's sleeve tightly. She had never seen him so worried, so unsure. Just as the father prepared to step away, defeated, the crowd began to murmur excitedly. Someone whispered, barely loud enough for him to hear, "Wait, is that Ozzy Osbourne?" At that very moment, he hadn't even noticed who was behind him. He was focused entirely on the impossibility of the situation, the disappointment he dreaded seeing in his daughter's eyes. Audience engagement break. Have you ever been in a moment where money just wasn't enough? Comment below where you're watching from. The USA, the UK, India, or somewhere else in the world. Tell us if you've ever had to disappoint someone you love, and what you did. The father tried to stay composed, hoping he could find a solution on his own. Every second stretched endlessly. The daughter looked up, teetering between hope and heartbreak. Around them, the tension rippled through the bakery, every shopper sensing that something important, something life-changing was about to happen. And little did he know, someone who could change everything was already standing behind him. The father's hands trembled slightly as he counted his coins again, trying to figure out if he could scrape together enough for even the smallest birthday cake. His daughter, bright-eyed and smiling, despite her obvious excitement, pointed at a colorful chocolate cake decorated with her favorite cartoon characters. "I really like that one, Daddy," she whispered, her small hands clutching the edge of the display counter. He forced a smile. "It's beautiful, sweetheart. But let's see if we can make it work," he replied, trying to mask the anxiety in his voice. The cashier scanned the cake and then glanced at the man's hand full of coins. Her expression softened, but she couldn't bend the rules. "I'm sorry, sir. It's not enough." The girl's smile faltered, and a quiet tension settled over the bakery. Other customers shifted in their spots, noticing the quiet sadness in the little girl's eyes. A few whispered among themselves, sympathizing with the father's struggle. The father sighed, feeling the weight of disappointment press against him. He looked down, muttering to himself, "I just wanted her to have a happy birthday." At that moment, the door chimed, announcing the arrival of another customer. He barely noticed the figure walking in, lost in his own worry, but the person behind him did. Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary rock star, had just stepped into the bakery. Wearing sunglasses and a leather jacket, he carried himself with a casual confidence that made him seem larger than life, even in the smallest of places. He was there for a simple pastry run, just like anyone else. But as he scanned the room, something caught his attention. The little girl's eyes sparkled with longing, and the father's quiet despair was impossible to miss. Ozzy stopped, his gaze locking on the scene unfolding at the counter. Something inside him stirred a mix of empathy and instant recognition of a simple human struggle that anyone could relate to. He took a step closer, but not before letting a few of the bakery employees whisper to each other, realizing who had just walked in. That's Ozzy Osbourne," one of them murmured. The father remained unaware, his focus entirely on the coins in his hand. His back was to Ozzy, his thoughts spinning through calculations and possibilities. He didn't notice the slight movement behind him, the shadow that signaled someone had arrived with the power to change everything in that room. Ozzy leaned casually on the counter, observing the scene quietly. He watched the father weigh coins, hear the cashier's polite but firm explanation, and see the tiny frown forming on the little girl's face. Each small gesture told a story of struggle and love, of a parent willing to sacrifice but limited by circumstance. He knew immediately that this moment didn't need music, stage lights, or screaming fans. It only needed a little kindness. As Ozzy stepped closer, he waited patiently, letting the father make the first move. He didn't want to startle him, didn't want to embarrass him. This was not about fame, it was about humanity. The father finally looked up, just in time to catch a glimpse of a tall figure beside him. "Can I help you?" he asked politely, a little confused. Ozzy smiled warmly behind his sunglasses, his voice calm and gentle. "Hey, I think this one should be yours today," he said, nodding toward the cake. The father blinked, staring at the stranger. I don't know." The little girl spun around to see who was speaking, her eyes widening in awe. There was something about the voice, something kind and confident, but she couldn't quite place it. The whispers in the bakery grew louder. "That's Ozzy Osbourne," someone exclaimed. "He's standing right there." The father's jaw dropped, his confusion turning into disbelief. The man he had thought was just another customer had just offered to help. The girl's face lit up in a mixture of joy and shock. And just like that, the tension that had filled the bakery moments before began to dissolve. What started as worry and disappointment was now turning into an unforgettable moment of surprise, generosity, and human connection. The father took a step back, still processing the scene. He had no words, only gratitude, and a growing sense that this birthday, against all odds, was about to become magical. The bakery was quiet now, aside from the soft hum of the refrigerators and the muted chatter of other customers. The father stood frozen in front of the display case, trying to figure out what to do. His daughter tugged gently on his sleeve, eyes wide with hope and anxiety. "Daddy, can we still get the cake?" she whispered, almost afraid of the answer. He opened his wallet one last time, counting coins that didn't nearly add up. The disappointment in his daughter's eyes was like a punch to his chest. He glanced around, wishing somehow that someone, anyone, could help him in this small but heartbreaking moment. And then he felt a presence behind him. A tall man with long hair, sunglasses, and a black jacket was standing just a few feet away. He was looking at the cakes, casually examining the frosting like he had all the time in the world. But there was something about him, something familiar. The father's head turned slightly, just enough to see a flash of recognition from someone in the corner of the bakery. A teenager at the counter nudged his friend and whispered, barely able to contain his excitement. "Dude, isn't that Ozzy Osbourne?" "Don't say it too loud," the friend replied, eyes wide. "He's right there." The whispers spread like wildfire. The cashier almost dropped the change she was counting. Other customers peeked over shelves, murmuring, pointing, and slowly piecing it together. "Wait, that's really Ozzy Osbourne," a mother said in disbelief, holding her child, the Prince of Darkness. Standing here, the father still hadn't realized he was focused entirely on his daughter, on the coins in his hand, on the small impossibility of making her birthday special. But the crowd knew, and soon, the crowd's excitement was impossible to ignore. Cameras clicked, phones lifted, and murmurs became louder. "That's him. That's Ozzy Osbourne. He's standing right there. Can you believe it?" The father finally looked up, turning slowly. His eyes fell on the man standing near the counter, casual, calm, but unmistakably legendary. Recognition hit him like a lightning bolt. "No, it can't be," he whispered, shaking his head. His heart raced. Ozzy Osbourne. The man nodded slightly, a small smile on his lips. There was a gentle kindness in his eyes, a softness that contradicted the wild, hard-edged persona seen on stage. The father's daughter gasped. "Mommy, is that yes, baby?" the mother whispered, equally stunned. "That's him." For a moment, the bakery was silent, everyone holding their breath. The father felt a mix of awe and disbelief. Here was a rock legend, someone he had seen perform on stages and in music videos, now standing just a few feet away, right behind him, watching this small, private struggle. The crowd's excitement was palpable. Phones hovered in the air, capturing every second, every subtle expression, every flicker of emotion. But the father was frozen, caught between disbelief and hope. He hadn't even noticed the coins in his hand until now. He glanced at them again, feeling the weight of reality pressing down. He still couldn't pay for the cake, but he also felt something else now. The electricity of possibility. Ozzy Osbourne's gaze met his, a small, reassuring smile. And in that moment, the father knew that something extraordinary was about to happen. Something that would turn this ordinary, stressful day into a story he would tell for the rest of his life. The whispers in the crowd grew louder, excitement mixing with anticipation. "This is unreal. He's going to do something. Can you imagine?" The father swallowed hard, taking a deep breath, still processing the impossible that the man behind him, a legend of music, was here. He could feel the tension in the air, the electricity of the moment. Everyone in the bakery waited. Not a sound, not a movement, could break the suspense. And then, the moment of recognition would set the stage for something unforgettable. The bakery was silent, except for the low hum of the refrigerator and the soft clatter of trays. The little girl's face was crumpled with disappointment, her tiny hands clutching her father's arm. The father, a man in worn-out clothes, bent over the display case, counting coins one last time. Every coin clinked like a tiny drum of despair. It was a birthday he couldn't afford, a promise he couldn't keep. Behind him, unnoticed, a tall figure in dark sunglasses leaned casually against the counter. Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary rock star, had stopped in for a quick coffee and pastry. He had overheard the father explaining his situation, the soft desperation in his voice, and the little girl's quiet plea for a cake she had been dreaming about for weeks. Ozzy's eyes softened as he watched. Something inside him stirred, the same instinct that had driven him to countless acts of charity over the years. He pushed himself off the counter and walked toward the father. The father was fumbling with the coins, trying to make the total, oblivious to the presence behind him. "I am sorry. Sweetie, Daddy can't." His voice broke. The little girl's eyes shimmered with tears. "Hey mate," a cheerful voice said behind him. The father jumped slightly, spinning around. Standing there was a man with wild black hair, dark sunglasses, and a warm smile. Hello?" the father stammered, confused. Ozzy smiled. "I think you've got enough to make her birthday special." The father's eyes widened. I don't understand." Ozzy leaned toward the counter and gestured to the cashier. "Put the cake on my tab. Consider it a birthday gift from me." The little girl gasped. "Daddy, is that?" Her voice trailed off as she recognized the unmistakable face. Ozzy knelt down to her level. "Happy birthday, sweetheart. I hear you love chocolate." Her small hands flew to her mouth, stifling a squeal. The father looked like he might collapse. His face flushed red, half disbelief, half gratitude. He tried to speak, but no words came out. "Thank you, sir," he finally managed, his voice trembling. Ozzy waved it off. "Don't thank me. Just make sure you both have a wonderful day. Birthdays are for smiles, not stress." People around the bakery began to notice the encounter. Whispers spread. "Is that Ozzy Osbourne?" Cameras appeared as bystanders lifted their phones, capturing every second. But Ozzy didn't mind. For him it wasn't about fame or recognition. It was about the joy of seeing someone else's life brighten in an instant. The little girl hugged the cake tightly, spinning around and then rushing into her father's arms. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but they were tears of happiness now. The father's eyes shimmered too. He looked up at Ozzy, finally able to speak. I don't know how to thank you. You've made this day unforgettable." Ozzy grinned. "Just promise me you'll make her birthday magical." "That's thanks enough." The atmosphere in the bakery had shifted completely. Strangers were smiling, clapping, some even tearing up. What had started as a quiet moment of despair had transformed into an impromptu celebration. As Ozzy turned to leave, he gave the father a gentle pat on the shoulder. "Remember, kindness is contagious. Pass it on." "Yeah." The father nodded, speechless. His daughter waved energetically. "Thank you, Mr. Ozzy." Ozzy waved back, stepping out into the sunlit street. The world outside seemed a little brighter, the weight a little lighter, all because of a simple act of generosity. The father looked down at his daughter, holding the cake, and whispered, "We'll never forget this, ever." And in that moment, it wasn't just a birthday cake. It was hope, kindness, and a reminder that sometimes, the smallest acts can change a life forever. The bakery was buzzing with the usual weekend crowd, but a sudden hush fell over the store as everyone realized what was happening. Phones were already raised, capturing the moment on video. The father stood frozen, staring at Ozzy Osbourne with wide, incredulous eyes. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from overwhelming disbelief. The little girl, clutching her empty birthday cake box, looked up at her dad. Her eyes were a mixture of confusion and hope, not yet understanding the miracle unfolding before her. Ozzy knelt down slightly to meet her gaze. "Hey there, kiddo," he said warmly, flashing his iconic grin. "I hear you want a birthday cake." The girl blinked, then nodded slowly. "Yes, but Daddy, we can't." Her father shook his head, choking back emotion. "Sweetheart, it's okay," he whispered, trying to shield her from the reality of their struggle. Ozzy cut him off gently, placing a reassuring hand on the father's shoulder. No, today's your daughter's special day. Let's make sure it's a good one." With a wave of his hand, Ozzy paid for the cake and even offered a few extra treats, some cupcakes, and a small chocolate box for the little girl. The cashier, initially starstruck, processed the transaction with a smile, whispering to the surrounding crowd, "This is amazing. He just did all that for them." The father's eyes welled up. He struggled to find words, voice barely above a whisper. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much." Ozzy chuckled lightly, waving it off. "Hey, no need to thank me. Just make sure she has the best birthday ever." The little girl's face lit up like a sunrise. She jumped into her father's arms, hugging him tightly. "Daddy, he got it. He got my cake," she squealed, the pure joy radiating from her small frame. The father hugged her back, tears streaming down his cheeks. "I promise, sweetheart, we're going to have the best birthday ever," he murmured. His gratitude was overwhelming, not just for the cake, but for the lesson his daughter would carry for a lifetime, that kindness exists, even from the most unexpected places. Bystanders recorded the entire scene, their phones capturing not just the transaction, but the emotions, tears, laughter, surprise, and pure human connection. Comments started popping up on social media almost instantly. "This is what the world needs more of. Ozzy Osbourne with a heart of gold. This dad and daughter just made my day." Even Ozzy, usually seen on stage in leather and studs, looked deeply human in this moment, humble, approachable, and genuinely caring. He waved at the small crowd, who cheered softly, then made his way out, leaving behind a family forever changed by a simple act of generosity. As the father and daughter left the bakery, cake in hand, the father whispered again to his little girl, "See, there's always kindness in the world. Today, we just found it." And the little girl, still holding her chocolate box tightly, smiled up at him. "I hope I can be kind like him when I grow up." It was a moment of pure emotional impact, the kind of story that would linger in the hearts of everyone who witnessed it, both in the bakery and online. As videos of the encounter went viral across social media platforms, the moment Ozzy Osbourne paid for the birthday cake was captured on multiple phones. From the father's shaky hands to his daughter's wide-eyed disbelief, every frame told a story of pure, unexpected kindness. Within hours, videos of the encounter flooded social media platforms. Hashtags like #OzzyKindness, #BirthdayMiracle, and #RockstarHeart began trending worldwide. News outlets picked up the story, from morning shows in the United States to viral segments in the UK, India, and Australia. Everyone wanted to know, who is this man with a legendary rock star persona, yet a heart so grounded in compassion? The father, who had only wanted to make his daughter's birthday special, suddenly found himself at the center of a global story. Comments poured in by the millions. People shared personal stories of struggle, gratitude, and inspiration. Many typed messages like, "This gives me hope for humanity. Ozzy Osbourne isn't just a legend on stage, he's a legend in life. I cried watching this." Small acts of kindness changed the world. The daughter, holding her cake close, became an internet sensation in her own right. Clips showed her jumping up and down, hugging her dad tightly, and whispering, "Thank you, Mr. Bidet." The emotional response resonated deeply with viewers, a reminder that even the smallest gestures can leave lasting impressions. Ozzy himself shared the footage on his social media accounts. His caption was simple, yet powerful. "If you can help someone, do it. It doesn't matter who they are, kindness costs nothing." Within days, major media outlets reached out to the father for interviews. He humbly recounted the story, insisting it wasn't about fame, but about the impact of compassion. The story even sparked a larger conversation about supporting families and spreading kindness in everyday life. The viral outcome wasn't just about Ozzy Osbourne, it was about what the world needed to see, that fame, power, or influence could be used to lift others rather than just entertain. People around the globe were inspired to act, to help strangers in their communities, to remember that generosity isn't measured in money, but in heart. The story became a beacon for positivity in an online world often filled with negativity. Memes, TikToks, and heartfelt reaction videos shared the viral moment with millions. Parents showed it to their children, teachers discussed it in classrooms, and strangers in parks would reference the story to encourage empathy. In the end, what started as a small act in a grocery store became a worldwide message. Even a simple gesture like paying for a birthday cake can ripple across continents, inspiring millions. Final call to action. If you believe that kindness can change the world, type kindness in the comments. Share this story with someone who needs a smile. And subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one.